Blood, its composition and function. The blood in our circulatory system is a watery-based fluid and consists of two basic components. 1. Plasma, 55%, and 2. Formed elements, 45%. Part A, plasma. The plasma is the light yellow liquid portion of the blood and is about 90%. Water. Dissolved in the plasma are 1. Gases, e.g. nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and oxygen. 2. Ions, e.g. sodium, chloride and calcium. 3. Nutrients, e.g. glucose, amino acids. 4. Hormones. 5. Proteins, most abundant. 6. Lipid molecules. 7. Various wastes. Proteins are the most abundant of all dissolved substances in the plasma. Some plasma proteins serve as carrier proteins. There are 3 types. Table 1, Summary of plasma proteins. Protein function. Albumins. 1. Maintain osmotic pressure by drawing water back into capillaries. 2. Help maintain body fluid levels. 2. Transport smaller molecules such as hormones and ions. Globulins. 1. Help protect against invading microbes by binding to foreign substances. 2. Transport hormones and fat-soluble vitamins. Fibrinogens. 1. Converted into fibrin networks that form blood clots. Part B, formed elements. There are 3 types of formed elements that are suspended in the plasma. 1. Red blood cells. 2. White blood cells. 3. Platelets. Red blood cells, erythrocytes. The red blood cells are the most abundant cells in the human blood. They are highly flexible, as they must bend and twist as they pass through the capillaries by concave discs that transport oxygen, and to a lesser degree, carbon dioxide in the blood. The unique shape of the red blood cells simply increase its surface area. Hemoglobins, the oxygen transporting protein found in the RBCs, contains a ring of iron. Inside the RBCs, oxygen binds to the ring of iron in hemoglobin molecules for transport through the circulatory system. In facet, 98% of oxygen is transported, bound to iron in hemoglobin, while the other 2% dissolves in the blood plasma. Anemia is a condition resulting in a decrease in the ability to transport oxygen in the blood. A deficiency in either hemoglobin or in red blood cells decreases the oxygen transported to the tissue. This condition is characterized by weakness and fatigues. People suffering from anemia often I. Are pale and tend to faint easily. E. Become short of breath easily. E. Have an increased heart rate. I. This is to offset the reduction in the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. White blood cells, leukocytes. White blood cells are nucleated cells that are a very important part of the body protective mechanism. This type of cell that constitutes less than 1% of the blood volume attacks harmful microorganisms such as viruses and bacteria. Once arrived at the scene, most white blood cells destroy invading microbe by phagocytoses, a form of endocytosis. Once the microbe is engulfed, the leukocyte releases an enzyme that then digests the microbe. Although WBCs are officially blood cells, they do most of their work outside of the bloodstream, in the tissue. The blood vessels simply transport the WBCs to sites of infection where they can squeeze between endothelium cells escaping the walls of the capillaries. The 3 most numerous leukocytes are neutrophil, monocyte, lymphocyte. Picture. Description. Approximately twice the size of RBCs. Multi-lobes nucleus. Most abundant WBC. Larger than a neutrophil. U or kidney-shaped nucleus. Slightly smaller than a neutrophil. Large round nucleus that fills most of the cell. Second most abundant WBC. Lifespan 6 hours to a few days, many months, can persist many years. Function. First line of defense. Circulate in the blood awaiting and microbial invasion. Usually the first to arrive on the scene. Phagocytize microorganisms, preventing the spread of bacteria. The cell then dies. That becomes part of the yellowish liquid pus that exudes from a wound. Cleanup crew will also leave the bloodstream to migrate to infected body issue. Like watchful soldiers, they remain stationary in the connective tissue of organs ready to attack invaders. Also phagocytic cells engulf microorganisms, dead cells, and dead neutrophils. Most lymphocytes exit outside the circulatory system in the lymphoid organs, spleen, thymus, lymph nodes where they attack. Microbial intruders. Unlike neutrophil and monocyte, these cells are not phagocytic. Cells antibodies bind to. Foreigners coats them and neutralizes them. Two types of lymphocytes. T lymphocytes. B lymphocytes. Platelets. Among the most important agent of blood clotting are the platelets, tiny formed elements produced in the bone marrow. Like RBCs, platelets lack nuclei and organelles, and are unable to divide. Carried passively in the bloodstream, platelets are coated by a layer of sticky material which causes them to adhere to irregular surfaces such as tears in blood vessels. As more and more platelets stick, a clot is created to seal the hole in the vessel. Once the temporary clot is in place, fibrinogen in the plasma is converted into linked strands of fibrin, forming a mesh that traps more platelets and blood cells. This permanent clot stops the leakage of blood and allows time for the injury to heal. Once healed, the clot